today's lesson, we'll work on our IELTS writing course, and today we will work on task 2, and we'll have general understanding of what is task 2. At the beginning, you should understand that in task 2, you have 40 minutes, but it takes more than 40 minutes. You have to be ready for this situation, and you have to write at least 250 words and maximum 350 words. Like, you cannot write more than 350 words, because if you write more than 350 words, like, they will not be able to check your essay completely, because they have set amount of time and they have to finish your essay within this particular amount of time. So if it's the volume, the best amount for your task 2 essay will be around 270 to 280 words for each essay. And today we work on the structure of IELTS writing task 2. And before we move on to structure, we just quickly go through the main types of task 2 essays in our writing task 2. Now let's look at the main types of task 2 essays. And here we start with task 2. We're gonna draw a little little table here, a little graph here, and you're gonna understand what it's all about. So task 2 is mainly divided into 2 parts, and they are opinion and ideas. And they are also in turn divided into certain parts, such as opinion is divided into 2 parts in its turn, and they are personal view and discussion. And there's a little branch of opinion essay called evaluate. And when it comes to ideas, we have more types of ideas essays than compared to opinion essays, and they are advantages and disadvantages essays, problem, solution essays, cause and effect essays, and mixed essays here. And another thing that you have to know is these types can come together and form double questions of task 2 essays. So as you see in our task 2, we should talk about task 2, and here we have basically two types of essays. They are opinion and ideas. You basically know in your own language too what's the difference between opinion and ideas. Well, opinion is the viewpoints that you form after you got some information, but ideas are this information that everyone possesses and everyone can have, but you form opinions after having and after considering your ideas, and they are divided. They are in, well, let's just say, in conflict with each other, and they don't come together. For example, in opinion essay you cannot give ideas, in ideas essay you cannot talk about opinion, and here they are also in turn divided into parts. Opinion essay is in turn divided into 2 main parts. They are opinion personal view essays, opinion discussion essays. In opinion personal view, the most important questions they're asking is, do you agree or disagree? They just say agree or disagree. Or they ask, what do you think? What do you think? These are their basic questions. Do you agree or disagree? Or what do you think? Or do you think this happens? Or do you think that happens? And in discussion essay, it's a bit different. In discussion essays, they ask, discuss both. Then they ask you to discuss both views or 2 views that are given in the paragraph or that are given in the topic. And in evaluation, it's a bit different. In evaluation, they ask certain questions like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it questions. So they may ask anything about it. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it practical? They just ask this kind of questions. And there's the reason why it's the type of, it's a branch of personal view is because you can add at the beginning, do you think it is good or do you think it's bad? That's why they are the branch of personal view questions. And in evaluate questions, as you see, you have evaluation. They ask for your assessment. I mean, you have to give your analytical or evaluative information assessment of some topic, certain topic. And After opinion, we have ideas types of essays, and ideas are quite easy because advantage, you understand advantages, disadvantages. But in this case, you have to pay attention that they may change these words. For example, you cannot expect only the words advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes they can use different synonyms like benefits, drawbacks, merits, demerits, positive, negative sides. So you have to be ready for this kind of situations. And here, next one is problems and solutions. The same situation, it's easy, but they may change the words into, well, instead of problems, you can ask issues, challenges, other words instead of problems and solutions, things that we can do to solve the problems, or things we can do to prevent something. So these are solution vocabulary. You have to be ready for this vocabulary in order to get high score, or in order to simply understand what they are trying to say here. And here, as the next part is cause and effect. Well, as you understand, they are just asked for some particular reasons why something is happening and what kind of possible consequences it can have. And you have to be careful with vocabulary too, and mix it. In mixed, it's a bit different. In mixed here, they just mix two things. That's why it's called mixed. For example, they just mix problem and effect, or they can mix cause and solution. So it will be a mix of two types of essays, and that's why it's called mixed essay. And here we have double question. What happens in double question? They just ask for your opinion, mostly evaluation. Do you think it's good or bad? And then they may ask what are the problems, what are the causes, and what are the effects. So here mostly they just ask questions from problem, solution, cause, and effect. One question from there and one question from evaluation tab. Well, this is a basic map, a basic diagram of what we have to do in our task 2. It means, as you see, there are 8 types. It means there will be 8 videos explaining these topics in detail and giving you basic information about what all details you have to understand to get your high score from this part. And now, after getting basic information about task 2 structures, task 2 types of essays, let's look at the basic structure of our essay. And we start with the easiest type of essay, which is advantage disadvantage essay. Advantage disadvantage essay is the easiest to write, so that's why we're gonna go through the structure of task 2 advantage disadvantage essay as an illustration, so that it will be easier for you to comprehend and understand the structure itself. So we start with, as usual, introduction. An introduction, we have to paraphrase the topic, and when we are paraphrasing the topic, you have to pay attention. You have to try to change not only words. Well, what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing means changing the words, changing the structure, changing the meaning. Not changing the meaning, changing the words and structures to the alternatives while keeping the same meaning intact, right? So here, most students pay attention, most students focus on changing the words only, but here you have to change the structure, grammar structure too, and we write paraphrasing the topic. And when we're paraphrasing the topic, what you will have to pay attention to is there can be some situations when we cannot use synonyms, because there will be words that don't have synonyms. So then most students make a mistake of trying to go to dictionaries and trying to find synonyms, but in most cases, in 50 plus or even 80 plus % of cases, they find wrong vocabulary and they use wrong vocabulary. So at the beginning of your preparation, it's okay to write words that you don't know and try to find the synonyms for words, provided that if you have someone to guide you, you have a teacher to guide you, to show you that this word is wrong, this word is right. But if you don't have a person who can check your essay thoroughly in a detailed way, it's not a good idea. It's a very risky idea to use the words that you don't know, because there will be some kind of hidden explanations, hidden meanings, which will not be present when you look at the translation only. So it's very risky, and in most cases it will be wrong. So if you have a person who can check your essays, do it. Try to experiment, try to use words that you don't know, try to find the words that are synonym for the words that you're searching for. But if you don't have anyone, if you're doing self-study, if you are not sure about the words that you're using, just stick to the word itself. Just use the word again and again. It's better to use the same word and get punishment for repetition than using the wrong word in a wrong context and getting punishment for wrong use of vocabulary. So it's better to stick to the safest strategy and not risk your score using the words that you don't know. And here in our topic, it's about mainly tourism. We have to read the topic and we have to see what is it about, and we have to try to paraphrase it. A lot of places in the world rely on tourism as a main source of income. Unfortunately, tourism can also be a source of problems if it's not managed correctly. Describe advantages and disadvantages of tourism in the modern world. As you see, this is our typical advantage-disadvantage essay, and we have to paraphrase the topic now together using the words that are synonyms to the words given. And here, a lot of places in the world. So instead of a lot of places, we can use most places, or we can say most areas around the world. So in this part, we have to use the word rely on here, and we don't show. So we try to find synonym word for the word rely on. Here, this will be depend on. Depend on. Tourism stays the same because we don't have synonym for the word tourism. And as a main source of their income. So here, instead of as a main source of their income, we write as a major source of their revenue. And you see, we wrote most areas around the world depend on tourism as a major source of their revenue. Now, to clarify it even more, to make it even more understandable for you, let's just write the words that we change it in red so that you understand what word was paraphrased and what can you find here that was paraphrased. And instead of most places or a lot of places, we said most areas. So it was a lot of places actually, a lot of. Around the world, it was in the world. And depend on was rely on. Tourism as a main, this was main source of their income. So basically we paraphrase these words, and here after this part you have the word unfortunately. So the thing with unfortunately is that the word unfortunately is, well, carries a little bit of emotion. Unfortunately means that you don't favor it, that you don't like it, you're against it. So we have one module in task 2 that you have to pay attention to. It is called avoiding emotions. Meaning that we have to avoid the words that use emotional context, that have emotional baggage, and we have to use those words that are neutral, that carry the same meaning but without emotional baggage, instead of the words that carry emotional meaning. So for example, instead of unfortunately, we can say however, nevertheless, but. So here we say however. And here you have to learn a lot of contrast linkers, conjunctions, collocations, which we will give here. And you have to become comfortable with using these conjunctions and collocations, because even if you want to get high score from your cohesion criteria, you have to know these words and you have to know how to use these words. As you see, after however, we use however is used at the beginning of the sentence, and we use comma after however, and we have to continue paraphrasing it. And here it's said tourism also can be a source of problems if it's not managed correctly. So instead of saying tourism, we say it. There can also be may. Instead of source of problems, we can say may. Bring about. Bring about. Bring about means, by the way, lead to or result in. And cost you. So you have to learn this word. So we're just changing the structure itself. Instead of can be a source of problems, we are saying bring about various serious hazards. hazards. And here we use the word hazards instead of problems. And they said if it's not managed correctly or if it's not managed properly. So here we say if not, right? They use if not, but we can't use synonyms instead of if not. We say unless. You have to learn how to use the word unless in this part to understand what we mean by this. Unless, or you can say instead of unless, you can say instead of if, you can say on condition that. On condition that. On condition that it is not. It is not. Instead of managed, we use the word handled. Handled. Instead of correctly, we say properly. Properly. So this was the basic paraphrasing the structure part. So let's just write the words that we paraphrased in red. So we said correctly and was managed. This was simply if not, right? If not, hazards problems. And this was be a source of. Be a source of. So it's an unfortunate, we use however, unfortunately. This was basic paraphrasing the structure part. So we, after paraphrasing, we move on to planning. We want to give our outline, but here, as we don't have space, we have to erase this part and we have to move and we have to write the plan after the sentence in a new whiteboard. Now, after finishing paraphrasing the topic part, we have to move on to the second part of our introduction, second sentence of our introduction. So, paraphrasing the topic was first sentence, and the second sentence is plan, giving plan, or it's also called outline. And what is this plan or outline? In our introduction part, the person who is reading our essay should understand what kind of topic we're dealing with, what kind of essay we're writing. So here, you may not know that the person who is reading your essay will not see the topic itself. So he will not have understanding about the topic, the type of essay that we're dealing with. So in order to show that what we're talking about, in order to show that we are writing advantage-disadvantage essay, we have to say, well, I will give advantages and disadvantages. And here, we could simply say, I'll just write with red because it's wrong structure. It's not wrong structure. It's a structure that will not give you a high score. I could say simply, I will give advantages and disadvantages of it. I could simply say I'll give advantages and disadvantages of this situation or of it, but this will not get high score because this is very simple structure because we use simply future simple and we are using personal style here. And the second thing that you have to know is you have to use impersonal style. And impersonal style basically says that you have to avoid using any pronouns, you have to avoid using any active voice, you have to avoid using any person subject as a subject of your sentence. You have to make it more formal, more academic, and the only way to make it more academic and more formal is using impersonal style and using passive voice. And here in this situation, we can simply use passive voice. And here you can simply say I will give, but it's not a good idea. So we say I'll just give you one template, and this template can be used in any advanced disadvantage essay. So my suggestion is copy this template, memorize this template, and use it again and again in your essays so that you get higher score. And here the reason why we're using template is, as we said before, as we said a lot of times in previous lessons, previous videos, the task 2 is not about writing good essay. Task 2 is about, or writing is about managing your time and managing the time that you are given in a right way, in a proper way, because most students will not be able to finish their essays. And here what you have to do, you have to memorize, at least like, as a guarantee for your speech, memorize templates so that in extreme situation, in adverse situation, you have a way out of this problem, because whenever you have no time, you can just use at least a template and just get at least 6 plus band score using this template. And the template is and as you see, we wrote potential advantages and disadvantages of this phenomenon. will be investigated in depth below. The reason why it's good essay, good body paragraph, and I mean good plan is we use passive voice, will be investigated, and we use better structures, better vocabulary in depth below. This phenomenon, potential words are, these words are good and they're going to give you high less resource score. And here, the problem here we have is the words advantages and disadvantages. We cannot use the word disadvantage. Well, you can use the word advantage, but it's not a good idea, because the reason why you cannot give the word advantage, disadvantage here is they most probably use advantages and disadvantages. The words which are advantages and disadvantages in their plan, in their topic. So you have to use some synonyms. Because in a body paragraph also, if we say in introduction, advantage, disadvantage, in body paragraph, we have to repeat the word again and then advantage, advantage. So we have to find some synonyms to words advantage, advantage, so that you will have a better chance of getting higher score in this part. And instead of advantage, disadvantage, what kind of synonyms can we use? And they are and as you see, we have around 5 synonyms given here of advantage, disadvantage synonyms. And here we have pros and cons, benefits and drawbacks, upsides and downsides, merits and demerits, positive and negative sides. Using these synonyms instead of advantage, disadvantage will guarantee that you will get higher score in your less resource part, at least by using these structures and using these words instead of just repeating advantage, disadvantage. As you see, in introduction, we only have 2 sentences, paraphrasing the topic and plan. In the next part of the video, we will talk about general background information. This is optional sentence that you can give in your essay to get higher test achievement score. This was a bit hard from the beginning to explain. That's why we will explain it at the end when you understand everything regarding paraphrasing the topic and plan. And as we said, it's the last part of our essay and the last part of our introduction part. We said we will give information about general background information. And here general background information is, we said, optional. So if you want, you can write it. But if you don't want, if you don't understand, it's not that necessary to write this part. And here, because it's optional sentence and it comes at the beginning before paraphrasing this topic, because that's why I write it as 0. General background information. And here, as you saw in the topic was a lot of places rely on tourism as a main source of their income. But it doesn't show some kind of introduction. It doesn't show any introduction to the topic itself. So topic was about tourism. And if you write just one general sentence about tourism and its importance, possibly, it's better idea and it's going to be better for your task achievement. Here, you can just simply say tourism is an integral part of every single country's economy. And as you see in this sentence, we're trying to show that we're talking about tourism and we're talking about integral part of every country's economy. So it means we're showing the connection between the topic tourism and economy, because they said as a main source of revenue, and we said that why it's important, it's integral part. So in general background information, what you have to do, you have to give general sentence about the topic itself, which is tourism, connected to the topic itself too. Is every country's economy, and you have to show why it's important, why it's important to talk about the topic, which is integral part. So let's see, it's hard for the beginning to understand what this general background information, and let's just see other topics, and let's just see background information for other topics so that you understand it better. And now let's look at some other examples of task 2 topics. For example, here, many university students live with their families while others live away from home because their universities are in different places. And here it's about students, it's about living, and it's about the place of, accommodation. So we have to write some general sentence about this topic. And as you think about it, it's well, there's connection between studies and students and living. So we can simply say, and as you see in this part, we said choosing a proper place to live plays an important part in integral part in the academic success of students. And as we said, we showed the topic itself, choosing a proper place, and we showed that it's about students, and we showed that it is about academic success and playing an important role of academic success of students. And as you saw, we gave general background information. After reading this general background information, the examiner or the person who's reading your essay will have understanding that it's about, well, it's about living somewhere, it's about success in academic subjects, and it's about students. And the last topic is, some people think that there should be strict laws to control the amount of noise a person makes because of the disturbance it causes to people. Discuss advantages and disadvantages. In this part, as you see, this is about cities, this is about noise pollution, this is about penalties, and this is about problems in general. So we have to write here that noise is a big problem in cities, and we write and as you see in this part, we said noise pollution is one of the concerning issues which cities are facing today, and we paid attention to the amount of noise, which is the main topic of the essay, and here cities, because we talked about cities, and it was the most concerning issue that we're showing the importance of the topic, and we are setting the stage for the introduction. We're setting the stage for paraphrasing the topic and explaining what exactly is our topic. And here, by reading the sentence, the person who's reading our essay will have a general understanding that this is about noise, this is about cities, and this is about problems that noise is causing. Well, that's the end of our introduction part of our task 2 advanced advantage essay. As you saw, we have 3 sentences or 2 sentences if you don't want to include general background information, because general background information is optional. And here the main thing that you have to pay attention to is paraphrasing the topic and giving plan or outline of your essay so that the person will have the understanding of what you're trying to do in body paragraph. So thank you for watching the video. That's the end of our today's lesson.